2 years of Project Cheetah. What started with soaring hope and international applause, the second year of Project Cheetah has been a journey of highs and lows. Now, while there have been remarkable births, there has also been no shortage of painful losses. Growing optimism continues, but as does mounting criticism. In the latest, a bombshell audit report by the Accountant General of Madhya Pradesh has flagged some serious concerns over the management of cheetah relocation efforts at the Kuno National Park. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen, for some shockers indeed. The report highlights some major red flags that could have you questioning the very foundation of the project. Shocker number one, did you know that cheetahs were never part of the original Kuno plan? That's right, they weren't part of the Kuno plan. The second shock comes in that Kuno was actually designated for relocating Gir lions. On top of that, rules have been violated, funds have been misallocated. So where exactly has this money been going? Brace yourself, documents on Project Cheetah expenditure are missing. We don't know where these funds have gone because these documents, according to this audit report, are just missing. Then reports from a 3-member expert team, which was appointed by the Supreme Court in January 2020, are nowhere to be found in the Forest Division's records. The absence of these reports makes it impossible to verify the facts presented to the Supreme Court, raising further questions over the transparency in this project. And then just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, the Madhya Pradesh government and the centre haven't exactly been on the same page on Project Cheetah. Because adding to this mess, the report says that Kuno's ground staff and wildlife division have reportedly been left out of the processes when it comes to site selection and as well as the study into the reintroduction of cheetahs. So here, ladies and gentlemen, is the big question. Is a project on bringing the cheetah back in India becoming a white elephant? A massive investment yielding far too little. We are talking of an overall project cost of 44.1 crore rupees from 2021 to 2024, yet the audit report points to the misallocation of funds. 3.64 crore rupees was spent on pasture development and weed eradication between 2020 and 2024, but faulty procedures and potential wastages have resulted in most of this money going to waste. So what is the brass tacks? How many cheetahs are there as we speak after all the cheetahs have come in and gone and died, and cheetahs have been born as well? Let's rewind all the way to September 2022. When the first wave of excitement hit, 8 cheetahs were flown in from South Africa. So the count, as you see on the screens, is 8. Then fast forward to February 2023, 12 more cheetahs arrived, taking the count to 20. Now, by March 2023, there was reason to celebrate even further because cheetah Jwala gave birth to 4 cubs, raising the count to 24. But then tragedy started striking. Between March and August 2023, 6 cheetah adults died, which brought the count back to 18. More heartbreak followed. Of Jwala's 4 cubs, only 1 survived. 3 perished by the end of the year, bringing it down from 18 to 15 cheetahs. 2024 brought a mix of hope and sorrow. Cheetah named Shaurya perished in January, leaving us from 15 to 14 cheetahs. But the births also continued. Cheetah Asha welcomed 3 cubs. Jwala gave birth to another 3. This brought up the figure back to 20. By March 2024, Gamini gave birth to 6 cubs, taking the total to 26. Unfortunately, we've lost 2 of our cubs since then, one in June, the other in July. And as a result, the total cheetah count right now stands at 24. That's a healthy figure. But we have also lost almost half of those figures. We have lost as many as half of the current number of cheetahs surviving here. Now, is that normal given the fact that, of course, that's the survival rate in the wild? Who knows? But let's not get carried away by numbers. The problems with Project Cheetah are stark and serious. Problem number 1, there has been higher than expected mortality amongst the translocated cheetahs. Problem number 2, even more discouragingly, the infant mortality rate amongst the newborn cubs is alarmingly high. Problem 3, experts are also raising concerns over the spatial ecology, that there may simply be too many cheetahs per square kilometer, which means that obviously there's not enough resources to feed them. Project 4, the project has been shifted from an original plan of a free, open site to a more enclosed approach. Why the sudden change? That's what we're asking. Problem 5, finally, there's growing concern that the cheetahs might not be adapting very well to Indian conditions. So where does Project Cheetah go from here? With so many challenges and with a scathing audit report now out in the open, the future of this ambitious initiative hangs in the balance, even as there remains optimism about the fact that things can perhaps come back, and things can, of course, come back to normal, and thus we can have more cheetahs flourishing and making India their home once again. Let me now bring in my guests who have been waiting very patiently with me. Neha, spokesperson of the Madhya Pradesh BJP, is joining us, which is a welcome move because we have reached out to BJP in Madhya Pradesh to come and give us their stance. I'm also being joined by Ravi Chelam, wildlife biologist and conservation scientist, Ajay Dubey, RTI activist and wildlife expert, and also Vishal Singh, director of TOF Tigers, here someone who's been an avid nature aficionado. Let me start with Ajay Dubey, the man who has really been the first person to bring this entire problem with Project Cheetah and Project Kuno to the limelight at this point. Ajay Dubey ji, we had first spoken 2 or 3 months ago. At that time, जो हेडलाइंस बने थे वो सुर्खियां ये थे कि मध्य प्रदेश सरकार ने आपकी आरटीआई को जवाब देने से मना कर दिया था, एंड दे हैड साइटेड नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एंड वन ऑफ द रीजंस व्हाई इस आरटीआई का इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं दिया जा सकता है। अब जब एक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट एंड सरकार की खुद की सेटअप ऑडिट रिपोर्ट ने इतनी सारे खामियों को निकाला है, नाउ आपको कहीं ना कहीं लगता है कि जो आप इतने महीनों से कह रहे थे, द पॉइंट यू हैड बीन स्ट्रेसिंग फॉर सो लॉन्ग हैज नाउ बीन विंडिकेटेड?
यस रितांशु, चीता प्रोजेक्ट इस वक्त एमपी गवर्नमेंट और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के लैक ऑफ कोऑर्डिनेशन का शिकार हो गया है। चीता प्रोजेक्ट में जो पीएम का ड्रीम प्रोजेक्ट था, पहला फर्स्ट इंटर कॉन्टिनेंटल जो रिलोकेशन इनका चीते का साउथ अफ्रीका से यहाँ लेके आए, जिस जगह पे लाए वो कूनो नेशनल पार्क लायन के सेकंड हैबिटेट के लिए सेलेक्ट हुई थी। हमने करीब 30 गांव विलेजेस से सहारिया ट्राइब्स को बाहर शिफ्ट किया। हमने उनसे ये कमिट किया कि हम आपकी जमीन पे लायन लाएंगे और आपका टूरिज्म से अपलिफ्टमेंट होगा, आपकी बेहतर इकोनॉमिकल जो स्थिति है वो होगी। एक तो ये चिटिंग हुई। सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट 2013 का है कि लायंस आप लेके आइए, अब वो नहीं लाए, आप चीता लाए। हम चीते का वेलकम करते हैं, लेकिन चीता प्रोजेक्ट कहीं ना कहीं कूनो के जो वाइल्ड लाइफ के जो प्रोटोकॉल जो डिसाइड है, जो रेगुलेटरी सिस्टम है, उसमें लायन ही फिक्स था। कूनो को तो उसमें इनकॉर्पोरेट किया ही नहीं है, चीते को। आज चीता प्रोजेक्ट में जो एजी की जो फाइंडिंग है उसको हम यदि देखते हैं तो वो ये कहती है कि स्टेट और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में कोऑर्डिनेशन नहीं है। वहां पे करोड़ों रुपए के एक रितांशु एक फिगर आया है, 116 करोड़ जो है उस पे क्वेश्चन मार्क लगा है कि उसका प्रॉपर अकाउंट मैनेज नहीं किया गया है, उसको ऑडिट टीम को नहीं दिखाया गया है। जो वहां कंस्ट्रक्शन हुए हैं करीब 100 करोड़ से अधिक हुआ है, वहां जो माइनर मिनरल यूज किया जाता है जैसे रेत, सैंड, इनकी गवर्नमेंट को रॉयल्टी नहीं दी गई। हम बात करते हैं कंजर्वेशन की, हम बात करते हैं फॉरेस्ट के प्रोटेक्शन की। आप कूनो नेशनल पार्क में आपने वहीं पे माइनिंग कर दी, वहीं से उसके मिनरल निकाल के और उसको यूज कर लिया। ये अनफेयर प्रैक्टिसेस जो की गई हैं, एजी रिपोर्ट उस पर क्वेश्चन कर रहा है। वहां पर ऑफिसर्स की कमी है। आपका जो इंटरनेशनल जो प्रोजेक्ट है चीता, उसमें आप प्रॉपर आप अपने ऑफिसर्स को नहीं वहां पे पोस्ट कर पाए। क्वेश्चन मार्क है एमपी गवर्नमेंट के इंटेंशंस पे, क्या वो मोदी जी के ड्रीम प्रोजेक्ट पर सीरियस है कि नहीं है। और दूसरी बात, एमपी गवर्नमेंट ने 1991 से लेके लायन प्रोजेक्ट पे अभी तक कूनो में करोड़ों अरबों रुपए खर्च किए। आपने गरीब कमजोर आदिवासियों को बाहर किया। आप लायन के लिए बात क्यों नहीं करते हो? कहाँ ये मतलब क्यों नहीं कूनो को, या तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट 2013 जो लायन वाला था, आप उसको कहते हो हम नहीं कंप्लाई करेंगे। कहीं ना कहीं जो वाइल्ड लाइफ के जो भी मैनेजमेंट है, ऑफिसर्स की जो कॉम्पिटेंस है, उस पर क्वेश्चन मार्क है।
Now, the good thing is, as we said, we have a spokesperson of the Madhya Pradesh BJP is joining us, Neha Bagga. Now, let me make it very clear, ma'am, none of us here, I'm sure none of my panelists nor my viewers here, we want Project Cheetah to fail. None of us want it to be a failure. We are all very excited to have this exotic animal in India, and we hope that it makes India its home, or the species makes India its home for the next few years. But the questions can no longer be silenced. For the past few months, the Madhya Pradesh government has been trying to suppress information by not responding to RTI requests which were being filed by Mr. Ajay Dubey. But now an audit report, your own government audit report, has pointed out some glaring lapses that cheetahs were not even part of the plan. So what went wrong and what is going wrong now?
Ritangshu, I think that this Cheetah project, as we know that Cheetah extended from India in 1950s, and again to bring cheetahs back to India, this was an optimistic step. I think when we talk about the RTI activists and RTI applications, first I got confused while Ajayji was speaking. His concern is about cheetahs, his concern is about their rehabilitation, his concern is about lion, his concern is about audit failure, his concern is about land, his concern is about tribes, I don't know what. So maybe there was some sort of confusion in RTI application as well, according to the I think statement he made. See, Madhya Pradesh is rich in wildlife, and I think that while we brought cheetahs, we were extremely responsible as to reintroduce them back in our weather conditions. And there were various things because you came up with the figure how many cheetahs were brought and how many are alive right now. Right now, we have 12 cheetahs and 12 cubs. And I think that government is extremely serious
Yes.
for expanding the area as well. And today only our forest minister Ramnivas Rawatji visited there, also inaugurated wildlife hospital. This shows the concern of government for the wildlife love, for the concern of environmentalist, for the concern of your channel as well. And I think 50% mortality in any wildlife, I think it varies on the weather condition, it varies on the condition of the wildlife sanctuaries, and lot many reasons are there. Today he also
Okay.
spoke about the Mandsaur sanctuary, and this is a initial action plan. This will keep on going, and I think in few years you'll see that cheetah project is successful in India. And in Madhya Pradesh, if you watch minutely, we are tiger state, we are lion state, we are vulture state, and now also we are cheetah state. Uh, it's too early to comment or to say that government has
Ms.
failed in
Bagga,
all
I waited
aspects.
for, I didn't interrupt your answer so far, but you have spectacularly evaded my original question here. You have not mentioned this audit report, which is a government audit report, and the findings of this audit report, which said that Project Cheetah, Project Kuno was never meant to be about cheetahs, it was meant to be of the Asiatic lions. Worth cheetahs brought in as a last-minute vanity exercise without proper planning, without proper implementation here.
Ritangshu, I'll tell you that if you talk about cheetah or if you talk about lion, habitation of both the animals are same. They both survive on wasteland, they both survive on grassland. And this Kuno National Park is a grassland. And I think that when government brought up this
Okay.
project, this was absolutely after looking whether this place is perfect for cheetahs or not. And let me tell you that this is an international project. People from Africa, Namibia has visited India. Indian officers has visited Africa, Namibia. Wildlife Institute officers went there. Also, Institute of Climate Change officers went there. So, extremely, I must say that after educating our officers, after educating our institution members, and after studying all the aspects, then only this project has been started. This is not the simple thing that you bring cheetahs and you leave anywhere. This is after a deep study and after this institution, when they
Okay.
okay the process, then only it was brought it here.
Well, I'm not definitely a wildlife expert. I just want to ask the right questions. Thankfully, on the panel, we do have a wildlife biologist and conservation scientist. Ravi Chelam, I want you to come in on the points which Ms. Bagga has been mentioning here. Do you agree with the assessment at the end of the day? It's almost a like-for-like substitution if you get in cheetahs at a place meant for lions.
Well, there are huge differences in their ecology. But as Ajay very clearly mentioned, there's a standing order of the Supreme Court going back to 2013, which said that lions should be translocated from Gir to Kuno in letter and spirit within 6 months. From 15th of April 2013, 6 months is 15th of October 2013. And we are now getting to be October 2024. There's no sign of the lions coming. And the audit report is rightly asking the questions. And all we are getting is it's a lot of words put together, which I couldn't follow the logic, and definitely there was no science. So if the Supreme Court of India passes an order, it is incumbent on the citizens and more on the government to implement it. We have behaved with impunity. Okay. We have defied the court order. And let me get to the Cheetah project. The Cheetah project was flawed to begin with. The problem has been compounded by very poor implementation. Look at the end result. At the end of 2 years, what do we have to show? Cheetahs in captivity. If the cheetahs had to be in captivity, why bring them from Africa? We were supposed to be having established a wild cheetah population, a cheetah population that will help us conserve grasslands, open natural ecosystems, other species like great Indian bustard and wolves. Here, cheetahs are finding difficult to survive on their own. Yep. Forget safe habitats or other all glorified and ambitious, wordplay. We are told one thing today, tomorrow they will tell something else. It's been a game of shifting goalposts, changing narratives, lies, half-truths, and unwillingness to tell the truth.
Very strong words coming in from you, Mr. Ravichelam. Let me bring in Vishal Singh, Director of TF Tigers at this point. Vishal Singh, there's always been a statement made that, some animals, as George Orwell once said, all animals are equal. Some animals are perhaps a bit more equal than others, which is why 2 years after the first cheetah arrived to India, can we look at this entire project as a headline-grabbing exercise that perhaps has not hit the mark? Because as Mr. Chelam was pointing out, the cheetahs have not been existing in the way they were supposed to be meant in terms of open spaces. They now exist mostly in captivity here. I'm not getting into debates about the mortality rate, but the fact remains they exist in captivity. The lions, which were originally supposed to come to Kuno, they are based on a Supreme Court order. There's no sign of that happening. So the original plan has not been carried out. There has been a hastily brought in substitute, which has not perhaps worked out to the best of what the plan was. And as a result, there are severe questions about whether this is as to how long can money be pumped into this project and how long can excuses be made about this project.
Ritangshu, any relocation, translocation of large carnivores have been increasingly recognized as a strategy to conserve threatened species and restore ecosystem functions. So cheetah is the only large carnivore which India has lost mainly due to hunting. And, we should look at a bigger picture that we have made this effort and we have had some setbacks, but we should learn from the setbacks and, try and improve over them and go ahead with the project now. And it's a joint exercise with our African countries. So I'm sure we should be able to find some solution to make this a success. My organization, Travel Operators for Tigers, we promote sustainable wildlife tourism, and we are very upbeat that something good will come out of it. 2 years, I think so, is a little short term to really know what's going to happen. So, that's what I would like to say.
Should we take the glass half full? I'd like to bring in Ravichelam and also Mr. Dubey on that. Ravichelam, should we just take the glass half full? At the end of the day, no one in living memory in this country knows how to take care of a cheetah. It is something that we are all learning. It's something we are all trying to understand and deal with, which perhaps explains as to why these cheetahs are still in some sort of captivity, because at the end of the day, it's a let's call it a scientific experiment which has noble intentions. It might not always go right. And the important plan is to keep repairing it, keep rectifying it, remedifying it, and keep learning not to repeat mistakes here. Are we being unnecessarily skeptical about the origins of this project, whether the original plan has been implemented or not, rather than looking at what we have achieved? The fact still remains, it's been 2 years. We have reasonably healthy population of 24 cheetahs, including 12 cubs in Kuno and adjoining areas here. That's not a bad start.
Well, just to, as a counterpoint, Vantara has 20 cheetahs. Does that mean they're doing well? This is nothing but a glorified safari. The cheetahs are restricted to 6 square kilometers. They are not even one home range size. A single cheetah needs 750 square kilometers of home range. And you put all your cheetahs in 6 square kilometers of an enclosure. India just does not have the quality habitat, sufficient habitat. We need 4 to 8,000 square kilometers to have a thriving population of cheetahs. We have put the cart before the horse without preparing the habitat. We've got the cheetahs, which is why they are in enclosures. And what is Gandhi Sagar? Another glorified safari. It is a fenced-in 80 square kilometer area. The government is in denial. People who want to support and gain favors from the government are in denial and are going along chorus. The fact is, this is unscientific, untenable. This is not conservation. This is waving hands and trying to make it sound like conservation. 24 cheetahs, 48 cheetahs doesn't matter. If they remain in cages, they are captive. It is not about wildlife conservation.
Neha, Bagga, is that perhaps the biggest mistake that the government and the administration has made, that it's looking at headline numbers of cheetahs? You mentioned the figures yourself. 12, it's good to have 12 adult cheetahs, 12 cubs living and hopefully living well. But at the end of the day, if they're living like zoos, that's not really much of a success, is it?
I think it's too early to be pessimistic. It's an action plan going on, and it'll take minimum 5 to 7 years to get settled, to know what all conditions are. And we are in talks with Kenya as well, and this will keep on going because we are extending area. And not to offend anybody's feeling, I am with Mr. Ajay and with Mr. Ravi as well, and government is working on it. We have expanded 54,249 hectares expansion in Shivpuri area with this Kuno project, which is now 1.77 lakh hectare. And also in coming days, we are also making Mandsaur Century plant ready. Bunny grassland is there. Mukund Park is there in Rajasthan. So these are the places where cheetahs will be brought in, and I think that with time we'll also keep on learning and unlearning lot many things, which is like expected for these
No,
which are expected
the
for these
problem
cheetahs.
is, the problem is, ma'am, the problem is, ma'am, these are not stray animals that we are adopting and giving a good home, so that even if some perish, it's a learning lesson. There's money, a lot of important money going down. 44.1 crores has been the overall project cost, yet the audit says there has been a massive misallocation of funds involved in the process. The audit also mentions that there is appalling lack of Madhya Pradesh and a coordination between the state government and the central government. The Kuno division, the ground staff are not being told about when studies are being conducted about sites being allocated. These are findings for months now. First, we had the Madhya Pradesh government say that we cannot reveal these sensitive data in an RTI because it violates the Official Secrets Act, which is why we can't give out this data. Now, at least the Madhya Pradesh government can do and acknowledge this report and say that, yes, perhaps we did not have the best preparation in mind, but we had the right intentions and we are determined to learn from these mistakes and move on. But are we not going up a fool's paradise by claiming that all is well? It's literally paradise in Kuno. And we have gotten these animals, and from now, good vibes will take it forward.
See, Ritangshu, I said that it's too early to be pessimistic. Why I said this? Because I said that we are learning and we are unlearning what all things are required. And with time, obviously, we'll come up with much more better plans for the rehabilitation of these cheetahs. I think it's really too early to be on the other side because continuously government is improving all the facilities, also improving training facilities. Also, we are in talks with Kenya and African governments, their experts, and also our people are going for training in Africa. They are coming here to train our officers, and Wildlife Institute plus Institute of Climate Change, with the collaboration, they are working too hard on this.
Okay, Ajay Dubey ji, are we just being a bit too pessimistic, as Bagga ji is saying? Are we not giving this project time by consistently being skeptical, by consistently questioning here? Are we being unnecessarily negative by allowing and trying to obstruct something really historic from happening? अजय दुबे जी, क्वेश्चन आपके लिए
रितांशु,
था। क्या हम अननेसेसरीली बहुत ज्यादा नेगेटिव हो रहे हैं, बहुत ज्यादा
नहीं
सवाल पूछ रहे हैं और हम लोग
नहीं
एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण
नहीं
सपने को बढ़ने से रोक रहे हैं?
नहीं रितांशु, मैं कुछ पॉइंट्स जो चीता प्रोजेक्ट के हैं जो नेहा के नॉलेज में लाना चाहूंगा। नेहा, ये जो ऑडिट हुआ है ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी है, ये गवर्नमेंट बॉडी नहीं है। जो सीएजी की स्टेट ऑर्गन है एमपीएजी, उसने ऑडिट किया है। और इस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी के ऑडिट में फाइनेंशियल रेगुलेटरीज के साथ साथ ये क्वेश्चन उठा है कि आपने लायन के लिए इतना पैसा खर्चा किया, लायन प्रोजेक्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट है, तो आपने लायन लाने के मुद्दे पे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट सीरियस नहीं है। ये रिमार्क एजी ऑफिस का है, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, मैं एक चीज मैं आपको बोल देता हूं, फिर आप बताइएगा। नेहा, वहां पे 29 विलेजेस को वहां से रिलोकेट खाली करवाया गया। वो सहारिया ट्राइब के लिए चीता प्रोजेक्ट में रितांशु एक प्रोविजन था कि लोकल जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट मैनेजमेंट होता है कहीं भी जहां वाइल्ड लाइफ रहती है, वहां लोकल लोगों के साथ उनके बेहतर कंजर्वेशन के लिए उनको जोड़ा जाता है, तो उनके लिए एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए काम किया जाता है। आज चीता प्रोजेक्ट के 2 साल हो गए, वहां पर लोकल ट्राइब्स के लिए अभी तक चीता प्रोजेक्ट के अंदर कोई काम नहीं हुआ। थर्ड
ओके,
पॉइंट मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं
ओके सर,
कि
आपने दो
आप
बहुत
जिस चीता
स्पेसिफिक
प्रोजेक्ट की
सवाल
बात
पूछा
कर
है।
रहे हो, आप जिस
आपने दो बहुत स्पेसिफिक
चीता
सवाल
प्रोजेक्ट की
पूछे
बात
हैं।
कर रहे हो,
मैं बहसबाजी में डाइल्यूट नहीं होना चाहता, डाइवर्ट नहीं होना चाहता हूं। सो नेहा जी, यस, देयर आर टू स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट्स व्हिच दुबे जी हैज मेंशन्ड। प्लीज गो अहेड, यू वांटेड टू कम इन एंड आंसर दोस, गो अहेड एंड काउंटर देम।
देखिए, मैंने पहले भी कहा था कि या तो हम आज कूनो में जो चीता को वापस से रीइंट्रोड्यूस किया गया है इंडिया में, उस पर चर्चा कर रहे हैं। आरटीआई पे भी मैंने आपसे शुरुआत में यही कहा कि आरटीआई का प्रश्न क्या था, वहाँ के ट्राइब्स के ऊपर था जो 29 विलेजेस से
ये
हटाए गए
ऑडिट
हैं।
की बात है,
लायन को
ये
लाने को
ऑडिट।
लेकर था कि चीता के लिए जगह सफिशिएंट नहीं है, उसके लिए था। तो बहुत सारे कंफ्यूजन्स है। मैंने कहा कि ये चीता प्रोजेक्ट जो है ये ड्रीम प्रोजेक्ट होने के साथ साथ में हम सबकी जिम्मेदारी भी है। हम बहुत सी चीजें सीख रहे हैं, बहुत सी चीजें लर्न कर रहे हैं, बहुत सी चीजें अनलर्न कर रहे हैं। तो विद ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट टू रवि जी एंड अजय जी, पूरा प्रयास सरकार की ओर से किया जा रहा है और निश्चित तौर पर मुझे लगता है कि जो एक्शन प्लान है उसको कुछ समय देने की आवश्यकता है और जो समय उसके लिए रिक्वायर्ड है उस समय तक के हमें थोड़ा पेशेंस भी रखना होगा।
दुबे जी बताइए, काउंटर दीजिए।
रितांशु जी, मैं ये जो नेहा जी कह रहे हैं कि ये ड्रीम प्रोजेक्ट है, लर्निंग अर्निंग, ठीक है। मेरा कहना है कि आज मैं आपको जो एनिवर्सरी 2 साल हो गए, आपके नॉलेज के लिए ला दूं कि जो साउथ अफ्रीका है उसने आपको चीता देने से मना कर दिया। आपकी जो एमओयू हुआ था कि हर साल वहां से चीता आएंगे, उसने मना कर दिया। वहां का जो एक्सपर्ट जो डॉक्टर था कूनो में, उसने इंडिया में दूसरी जगह जॉब कर लिया। आज जो एमओयू के जो कंडीशंस थी उसका वायलेशन कर दिया साउथ अफ्रीका ने, ठीक है। नामीबिया ने भी आपको मना कर दिया। अब आप केनिया पे जा रहे हो तो क्वेश्चन ये आता है कि जो आपका एमओयू हुआ था, हम चीता प्रोजेक्ट चाहते हैं कि वो सक्सेसफुल हो, लेकिन आपको जो सीरियस इरेगुलरिटीज हैं उनमें अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स करनी होगी।
Okay, so that we have got the points of view from both Ajay Dubey ji, who's been an activist, who's all he's been asking for is accountability, and also we've got views of the Madhya Pradesh government as well. I just have 3 minutes on this chat, so I'm now going to go to Mr. Ravi Chelam and Mr. Vishal Singh, because these two gentlemen represent definitely two different sides of how you see this, the glass half full and the glass half empty. Mr. Chelam is not going to like the fact that I'm going to bring rhetoric to a scientific discussion here. But my point is, Ravi ji, now we have got these cheetahs to the country and we're looking at bringing it. Let's, for a second if possible, forget the original contours of this plan, how it was supposed to have developed, how it is supposed to have thrived here. The fact is, we have got these 24 cheetahs. We want them to be healthy. We want them to multiply, and we want to bring in more at this point. If you had to give honest advice to the people listening right now, and we have a representative of the Madhya Pradesh government here, what would be a very clear guidelines in short as to what needs to be done from here on to ensure that whatever flaws or lackings exist in this project, they can be remedied?
Focus on the habitat, prepare the habitat, sufficient habitat. We are not talking of 5 square kilometers there, 10 square kilometers there. Minimum 4,000 square kilometers of interconnected habitat. Focus on that first. Stop importing cheetahs until the habitat is viable with sufficient prey. Do not breed these cheetahs in captivity because captive bred cheetahs are unfit to be released unless you want them to be showcases in zoos and safari parks. If you're serious about conservation, focus on the habitat. It'll take you 10, 15, 20 years. Get the habitat first, then by all means the cheetahs are welcome. But side by side, we can't forget a Supreme Court order. Supreme Court has ordered the translocation of lions. Lions are barely 800,000 kilometers away. What is preventing us from translocating lions from Gir to Kuno? Is this society, Indian society, a law-abiding society? Is there value for rule of law or not? And the current implementation of the Project Cheetah is not following the action plan. The action plan very clearly said cheetahs have to be released in 3 to maximum 4 months. For the last 12 months, all your cheetahs are being held captive. What action plan or who's dictating how these cheetahs are being managed now? What is the plan? We don't know what the plan is. Nobody is answering any questions. It's a black box.
Okay. Vishal Singh, I'll have you have the last word at this point. Is it important, I think, to keep it as a takeaway that this is a project which should not be driven by the need to garner headlines and the need to garner sensationalist debates, but the need to actually go to the basics and try and take care of the animals we have rather than try and looking at what other exotic animals we can get and what number?
No, what we have got these cheetahs now, and we as a country should make sure that it becomes a success. That is what our goal should be. And we should not look at the setbacks which we have had. We should do better planning and make sure this is a success and take everybody's point of view. And I'm sure this project after a few years will kind of stabilize. So that's what I would say.
Okay. So the one viewpoint which is coming in from both Neha, Bagga and from Vishal is that let us give this project time. Let's not burden it with unnecessary cynicism. But I would say that the points mentioned by Ajay Dubey ji and of course also by Mr. Ravi Chelam, of course, are important. This is not, nobody wants the project to fail. Let me be very clear about it. Nobody is supporting the deaths of these cheetahs. Nobody wants this ambitious project to fall, if nothing else, because there's a lot of public money involved. But this should be a project as it enters year 3, which should not be garnered by the desire to have photo ops and the desire to have headlines, but the desire to genuinely make a positive difference by making this a success story, by ensuring that cheetahs can survive in India by their own for the years to come and not remain in habitats. Thank you so much, Neha, Bagga, Ravi Chelam, Ajay Dubey and Vishal Singh for joining us with this very important debate as we went beyond the headlines.